Experts is brought to you by Vermonti's. Craving something cheesy, crispy, and unforgettably delicious? Say hello to Vermonti's Pizza, where every slice is a love letter to the Green Mountain State. From our classic pepperoni to our legendary mac and cheese pizza, we're serving up bold flavors you won't find anywhere else. Order online and get 20% off your first order with promo code Vermonti20. That's VERMONTY. Hit us up on Instagram at Vermonti's_Vermont Eats to see what's hot and fresh right now. Vermonti's Pizza, homegrown, handmade, and hella good. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Potential Experts. No crazy tricks. We got a full slate for you tonight. It's just myself, Ben, Brandon, and Ethan. We're going to start off with a little NBA, recap the AFC and NFC championship game, let Ethan take his little victory lap as he should, and then we even have a little bit of hockey talk. Does anybody, before we do NBA, does anybody have a baseball fact? Going one.
The Yankees are looking to bring back Paul Goldschmidt. So we are running it back.
That's just,
There you go.
that is horrific. Okay, Ben, I'm going to turn it to you because we are going to start with NBA bright and early today. Get us rolling.
All right. Well, it's great to be here. It's lovely to talk to you all. It's my little dose of America for the week. I had 3 segments planned out for today for us to talk about, but I feel like there needs to be a little audible from the jump here because after months, years, honestly, of Giannis dancing around a trade request and Milwaukee not really wanting to bite on anything, he's officially ready to move on. There's been 2 teams that have emerged as frontrunners, the Knicks and the Miami Heat. Obviously, a player of this caliber, in my opinion, still a top 3 player in the NBA. There's going to be other teams poking around as well. Minnesota, Golden State, Orlando. So there's, bits and pieces of teams looking into it. But really the 2 frontrunners are your Miami Heat and your New York Knicks. Ben, Ethan, feelings on this? How you think this is going to shake down?
Yeah, I mean, teams are going to be heavily aggressive. My favorite tweet that I saw, and this was prior to the Giannis officially demanding out earlier today. Well, I guess even now he hasn't officially, but I mean, he's demanded out without demanding out. We all get that. The best tweet I saw was the following teams will be interested in Giannis Antetokounmpo if the Milwaukee Bucks make him available. And the guy proceeded to list all of the other 29 teams in the NBA. When a guy of this caliber decides to become available for trade, you push your chips into the middle of the table. If you're one of those teams, that can kind of go either way, whether you're on the fence of contention to be a true contender, or if you're looking to fade back into the play-in. That's kind of exactly where, obviously, the Knicks are on the upper echelon of that. Miami Heat are right on that fence. So you're going to see a lot of teams be very, very aggressive and push their chips in the middle of the table. I think it's worth questioning, as great as Giannis is, how wise is it to do that for a 31-year-old who prioritizes physicality as his main source of play and has had declining health over the course of his career? Pat Riley, I hope you're listening to this right now. Not a good investment if you want to do that. Would just simply not be a smart investment. But nonetheless, teams are going to be incredibly aggressive. The Knicks are one of those teams. And right now, I need to get off X because I'm just refreshing every 5 seconds. Like I expect a trade to happen right now, which I guess theoretically it could. But I need to withdraw myself for a little bit. So Ethan, I'll turn it to you.
Yeah, I think as far as Giannis's perspective goes on his side of the things, he did a lot of great things for Milwaukee, but at this point in his career, his best chance to win a championship is outside of Milwaukee. I think he recognized that, and it was time. So, I'm very interested to see where he lands. Trade deadline's a week from today, I think.
8 days. 8 days. Next Thursday.
Yeah, 31 days in January. Come on, Ethan. I'm interested to see if he's traded before then. I wouldn't be shocked, though, if it happens in the summer. I think it's more likely it happens in the summer, in my opinion.
That's a good point. I don't know if I would say more likely for the summer because you do have some teams that are very desperate, and New York being one of them. I'd give it a 65% chance that he gets traded by Thursday. And if he doesn't, he will certainly be gone in the summer. I think if you are one of these teams like New York, Miami, Golden State that really wants to go in and get him, you kind of have to do it now because every year we see, obviously only 4 teams can make the conference finals in total. And there's going to be some teams out there, whether it be Houston, San Antonio, Detroit, maybe even OKC, who are going to be disappointed with their playoff finish this year. And if they exit earlier than planned, those teams have far more assets to go in and get Giannis than the teams right now who are rumored to want to get him. So if you're one of those teams who wants Giannis and maybe doesn't have as many assets as those young up and coming squads do, now is the time to do it. You can't wait till the summer because you're going to have much more competition to go against and you're going to have tougher trade competition to be going against. The way I see this playing out, Murphy's Law, what can go wrong will go wrong. And this dude's going to go to Miami because Miami keeps on getting lovely things, maybe once or twice a decade. But what I'm hoping happens on Sunday, February 1st, Mikal Bridges, because of his extension this summer, will finally be eligible to be traded. And also on February 1st, we have a primetime Knicks and Lakers showdown at 6 p.m. If you remember about a year ago, the night of the Luka Doncic trade, that was the same night that the Knicks and the Lakers had a primetime matchup on national television. And so if we're thinking maybe lightning strikes twice, that could be part two of that saga. Obviously wouldn't be as, shocking of a deal, but nonetheless, a star of similar, if not greater magnitude would be on the move. And that does take me to our next segment, unless there's any other points on Giannis you guys want to mention. Anything?
Nope,
Anything?
all set on that matter. But until anything emerges, we could spin the tires on that forever.
Yes, and plenty of people already have for really years now. Speaking of Knicks Lakers, speaking of the Luka trade, like I said, it has been about 1 year since that trade went down. And I've been thinking about it. We're a year removed, and I do have an opinion on that trade that may be contrary to people. Maybe it's becoming less contrary as the days go by. But Nico Harrison, while the process of the trade, not asking around the league, while the execution of the trade, going for Anthony Davis, was terrible, Nico Harrison was in the right to trade Luka Doncic and move on from him as the star of your team. I have plenty of reasons for why I think that. But would you guys, is this like a flaming hot take or is this more of like a, ovens at medium high?
I think it depends who you ask because like you could really say the same thing, and I want to be clear, the next player I say is not even as good as Luka Doncic, but you could say like if Leon Rose decided to trade Brunson, I mean, you could list that that's the right move for several reasons. Lack of defense. Luka's much bigger than him, so you would say that Brunson's undersized. But you really have to ask yourself, can you really win a championship if the best player on your team is that much of a defensive liability? I mean, you even look at like the best player on a championship team that was as big of a defensive liability was probably Steph in those Golden State teams. And I don't think I need to explain why those teams were able to overcome at times some of Steph's defensive ineptitudes, although he drastically improved as the mid 2010s came to fruition. But even then, Clay was a good defender. You had Draymond winning deep poise. There were several reasons, and I'm even talking the 2015 team. I'm not even talking about obviously when KD joined. That became unfair. But back to Luka, not to go down too many rabbit holes. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I mean, we see what he's doing with the Lakers right now, and the Lakers are far from a bad team, but they can't stop a nosebleed. They simply
They're far from a great team.
yeah, they're far from a great team for sure, and they can't stop anybody. I think DeAndre Ayton also his lack of effort has something to do with that as well. But I mean, Lucas just awful. I mean, his one thing I can say about Brunson, as much as he does annoy me defensively sometimes, is for better or for worse, he's out there trying. It looks kind of silly sometimes because he's trying so hard and like nothing's going his way. Luka doesn't even try, does not care about that end of the floor. So if you're going to have a player be so disengaged on one half of the floor, I'm not going to kill you on it. Like you said, not inciting a bidding war for a player like that, ridiculous. Targeting a player made of glass and Anthony Davis, ridiculous. But the sentiment of Luka needed to be dealt because you could not win at the highest level with him, don't hate that sentiment.
Yeah, I mean, and it's one thing not to try on defense in the regular season, but Ethan, I mean, you're a Celtics fan. You saw Luka in the finals. To what degree did that really even change from what you were seeing?
I mean, he did try a little bit in that final series to play defense. I wouldn't say he did a great job of it, but I think you can win with him as long as you have the right set of guys around him, guys who can kind of cover up for his defensive deficiencies. The Lakers don't have the right roster for that right now. Reeves is kind of a traffic cone. LeBron's not the same defender he was. Aiton really isn't a good defender at all. So it's not the right roster. I see what you're saying, that it's not totally out of the realm that the Mavericks traded him. It is a pretty hot take though.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, because you say that, and you're right. You build the right team around him, you can win. But that is so much easier said than done. If you look at
Absolutely.
the capital it takes to acquire 3 and D players and good 3 and D players, those aren't, even if they're just role players, they're far and away the most expensive role players to go out and get in free agency or in a trade. You have a guy who's at like a DeAndre Hunter level is going to go over the same amount in the trade market, if not more, than someone like Trey Young, who's a star. Even though DeAndre Hunter is far from a star, the way he plays, it's a premium to get that on your team. And from what I've seen, the NBA, it's constantly going through these different eras and way teams play. And in this modern version that we have right now, I feel like it is so much easier to build a championship offense than it is to build a championship defense. Teams are scoring at a higher rate than ever. And the teams that are true contenders, OKC, Detroit, San Antonio, they have that elite, defense and athleticism. So a guy like Luka, whose main value is bringing you to a championship level offense, that's not as needed when you can get there without those guys. Even Denver, they're pretty strong defensively around Jokic. They made those smart moves to get guys like Aaron Gordon, but Jokic still, he's a much better defender than Doncic is, even if he's not great. He's smart. He tries. He directs the offense. He's almost like another coach out there. He's got hands in the paint. And, having him as your backline a little weaker is, I feel like, this may not seem like it at face value, but it's far less damaging directly than having your point of attack defender being so flawed. Um, and there are zero of those elite teams that, you would see in the finals with Luka Doncic that aren't going to be able to pick him out and attack him consistently. Like we saw in the finals, guys like Jaylen Brown, Tatum, just going at Luka time and time again. But just to wrap up my point here, I want you guys to stop me when I get to a guy that if you're building a team from scratch going forward and you want this guy as the centerpiece of your championship team, stop me when I get to a guy you would rather have than you wouldn't. You know what I mean? Stop me when I get to a guy that you rather have Luca on your team than this person. Make sense?
Yes.
Excellent delivery. Shay, no stopping. And Tatum, assuming he comes back healthy. Kawhi when he's healthy.
Yeah, I'll stop
Now,
you there. He's too
now,
old.
yeah. I get Kawhi healthy is elite still, but like 36.
That guy on Twitter is eating paper. Have you seen the Clippers with Kawhi going at full strength now?
They're hooping. But that being said, he's 34. If you're just starting a team from scratch and you're thinking like 5 years ahead, are you really trusting
Oh,
30-year-old Kawhi
that's fair. What about for a playoff run? If I'm telling you Kawhi's healthy for it.
this season?
Yeah.
I've seen Luka will his team through a conference more recently than I have Kawhi. I'd have to go Luka.
Seeing Kawhi do it though and finish the job.
So,
Cade Cunningham,
no, give me Cade.
Jaylen Brown.
Luka.
I don't know, dude. JB is he yaps too much on Twitter. He's got to get off that.
Yeah, he just needs to be quiet and dribble, right then?
He does need to work on his dribbling.
Him and OG Anunoby can get in the lab this summer and just work on dribbling together. It'll be adorable.
Yeah.
But no, dude, he truly is unbelievable. The season he's having, he should be like. There's no reason, in my opinion, that he should not be like a contender for that final spot on All-NBA first team. He's just been ridiculous this year.
All right. 2 more interesting ones. Anthony Davis, assuming he's healthy.
Luka.
Luka.
Luka, okay. Poor job by Nico. I found the guy to not go with. And going forward, if I'm building a contender, Cooper Flag or Luka Doncic.
Luka.
Yeah.
Maybe in a year and a half we're having a different conversation, but right now I'm going to take the sure thing over the
Right.
speculation.
Right now, Luka, if we do come back to this in 2 years, the way Flag can dominate on both ends, I feel like is just such a more valuable asset to have in your star right now. All right. So I don't know. I was just thinking about that now that it's been a year since the Luka trade. Another thing that happened in the NBA recently, another kind of like nice, feel good, heartwarming little media story. Derrick Rose got his jersey retired. And there was some discourse about it. Frankly, I think it was stupid discourse because he's an all-time great for the Bulls, youngest MVP in league history, but he didn't win a championship. And that made me think about what players in the modern NBA, assuming they don't go on to win a ring, go ahead and get their jersey retired after their retirement. In my mind, there are 3 guarantees And
Harden,
then
Westbrook.
Harden, Westbrook. Chris Paul is not one of my guarantees because where does that happen?
Probably, well, maybe the Clippers, but that ended really sour, so maybe not. And I mean, maybe the New Orleans franchise could give him that, but I guess he's not a guarantee.
Yeah, it's unlikely.
All right, my third guarantee, Damian Lillard. I
Yeah.
feel like that guy gets it too.
Oh, easily.
So
Yeah.
it's Dame, Westbrook, and Harden. Assuming these guys, like even if their career ended today, are these guys getting their jersey retired? Jalen Brunson.
Yes. We'd retire Brunson's jersey. What he's meant to the city,
I would agree.
we'd retire it for sure. I think Melo's jersey should get retired. I don't think they're gonna do it, but I think Melo should.
Okay. Joel Embiid,
Nah. Yeah,
MVP.
MVP,
Yeah,
probably.
he probably does. Yeah.
Tyrese Halliburton.
No. If his career ends today, no.
Took him to a finals. What Brunson means to New York, how much of a gap is there between what he means to New York and Halliburton means to the Pacers and Indiana?
I don't think the Pacers dealt with as much misery over the course of however many years that we did. I mean, Brunson just put us on his back and took us out of the doldrums. So not that the Pacers were, you had to break up the Pacers at any point in the past, 2 decades, give or take. But I mean, the Pacers have had some legitimate runs. Obviously, Paul George, Roy Hibbert, Lance Stevenson, George Hill took them to a conference final where they took Miami to 7, very easily could have won that series. Um, the fact that like you could even argue that Halliburton's not even the best player on that team, that it's Pascal Siakam. So I don't know. I don't think he gets his jersey retired right now.
That's a crazy take.
Yeah, they
That's a
lose
crazy take.
Halliburton, and now they are like a top 5 worst team in the league right now.
They've been dealing with injuries all year long, though. I don't think that's exclusive to Halliburton.
Okay. Yes, but if they lost Siakam and they had Halliburton along with what's been going on this year, I think they're a much better team than they are. I think Siakam was so good because he played alongside Halliburton.
I mean, if we go down that rabbit hole, you can basically just be like, well, the distributor on every team makes the guys so much better, so then therefore they are better. Like obviously Nash was better than Stoudemire, but like, it's then to be like, oh well, Stoudemire really benefited from Nash. Is he really that good?
I'm not saying Siakam's not good. I'm saying Halliburton's definitely the best player on that team. All right, 2 more. Or no, sorry, 3 more straightforward ones and then 2 more kind of funky ones. All right. Devin Booker.
Yeah, Booker will get his jersey retired.
I guess so.
They-
70 points in a game.
Yeah, they've never won a
Finals
championship.
run.
A finals run. They've never won one. Like, what's their standard that they'd be like, oh, Devin Booker, who's been there now 11 seasons. Oh yeah, no, we're not going to retire your jersey. He's a Sun great. He's in their all-time starting 5, easy. So for sure.
Yeah, I think it's interesting the jersey retirement because it's not like the Hall of Fame where everyone's set to the same standard. It kind of depends on your team. So I got 2 more in the straightforward category. DeMar DeRozan, does he get it in Toronto?
No, it's too sour of an ending. It's not going to happen.
Probably not.
Probably not. All right, and then this is an interesting one because he did a lot for the team, but I think they're a franchise with a little bit of a higher standard based on their success. Does Jimmy Butler get his jersey retired in Miami?
No, too sour of an ending. Way too sour. It's not going to happen. Not a chance.
What if
That's
Pat Riley dies?
part of the
Pat Riley will die. Famously, people do die.
He's might be the exception.
No,
I think
Butler's not getting his jersey retired. He was there for I know the finals run. I get it. 2 finals runs, actually.
Two. That's one. 2 of them.
Dude, their standard's so high. I mean,
yeah.
like they
But
win.
he's like
they
a
win-
franchise leader in so many playoff categories, like above LeBron, above Wade, above Shaq.
and he made.
I'd say yes
miserable
for Butler.
them. If it didn't end as sour as it did, I'd have probably a different take. But dude, he made life so miserable for them around this time last year.
I know I don't know my NBA stuff nearly well enough to hold in the conversation with you guys, but I also feel like he's just been too much of a suitcase in his career to really have that lasting impact in any one place to be deserving of a jersey retirement. Not that he's not an all-time great and won't go down to be a Hall of Famer one day, but just jersey retirement, I feel like he needs to have more longevity in one place for that kind of thing to happen.
He brought the Heat to 2 finals.
That's what I'm saying.
Dude.
I feel like we got to book this one, and then if it happens, we have a Miami Heat fan on. We got to hit him with that question because I feel like that would give you good insight
We'll never
on it.
find one of those.
You'll never find a legitimate
Yeah.
Miami Heat fan. We can
They
find
don't
plenty.
grow on trees, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. 2 more. This one's a little trickier. Do the Dallas Mavericks retire Luka Doncic's number?
I think they might.
Right?
Yeah, I think it's possible, especially if like there's a conversation had, there's healing done. I think this would have to, obviously it would be so far down the line, but like especially if like Luka goes back there later in his career too and kind of just like rides his career out in a much better way than Chris Paul did with the Clippers. I could very easily see that. It might,
I'm on the
but you want to know
Ethan?
what ironically might determine that too? What success does he find with the Lakers? If he goes on and wins, two or three titles with the Lakers, and ends up being a Laker all-time great, and you hardly even remember him as a Dallas Maverick, then like, for kids that are currently growing up now, they barely remember Luka on the Mavs because they just think of him as the Luka Doncic that won 3 titles with the Lakers. Then you're probably grasping at straws if you're the Mavs. So ironically enough, what might determine his potential jersey retirement with the Mavs might depend on what happens in the rest of his career with the Lakers.
I'm on the fence. I mean, he brought him to his finals, but was he there long enough? But the fans, I think, would really
They
appreciate
love him.
They do.
Yeah.
they do. So I think that's a move for the fans.
Yeah. And then last one, do the Oklahoma City Thunder retire Kevin Durant's number?
I knew that one was going to pop up. I almost mentioned it earlier.
I think they have.
They theoretically should. I think a lot of healing would have to be done, like a lot. I
They
don't.
retired Nick Collison's number.
I know they did, which is ridiculous that they did that. I, I don't know. Like don't OKC fans still not receive him well?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think they do.
I don't know. They still don't receive him well, and now they've won a title X amount of years after, not 9 years after his departure. It's definitely like a bigger and better things move on. No, we're not hanging on our rafters. You ran from the grind to join the team that knocked us out. You could have stayed and we could have won a title here. But you left, and now I don't see if they were honestly still putrid, like if they had like never gotten back on track, and it was just like they were just like a perennial like playing team or lottery team, then maybe because it could be like maybe they'd reach out to him and they could like rekindle some relationship. But I don't see it now with the fact that they've moved on. KD moved on. It just is what it is at this point.
Wounds take time to heal. I think eventually they'll get him up in the rafters.
I mean, Vince Carter got retired in Toronto, no?
Yeah.
I wish Feeney was here. A little bit of an old head take on it, saw it in real time. But from what I've consumed in my life, I don't think that was the best ending there either. So depends. I don't know. It just got me thinking because what is kind of that line that gets you to retirement? Is it championships, MVPs? Bonus question with that, Ben, just for you. How many championships would the Knicks have to win with Mitchell Robinson for him to get his jersey retired in New York?
Great question. Part of me wants to say like one, and Mitch has a great playoff.
One, right?
Yeah, like he's been with us for like I think 10 years, close to 10 years now. It might be his 10th season on the team. He's a fan favorite. If like if we were to win the chip this year, for example, and Mitch has like a huge playoff and like he's clearly like one of the main players on our team, which he is, I could. And then we re-sign him again this summer because he is an unrestricted free agent and he stays another 3-4 years, and then maybe I don't know. I mean, honestly, Mitch at that point, Mitch would probably just retire 12 years in with the championship. He'd retire and go drive truck.
Big country.
Yeah, big country. He'd go drive his truck around Nashville and feel great about himself, as he should. But yeah, I gotta think it's fun with the caveat that Mitch is a big time contributor.
Yeah, I love that guy.
Yeah, he's
my
awesome.
favorite Nick right now, outside of Brunson, of course.
Yeah.
All right. I got one last little NBA thing for us. Another little game. We did Who's That Pokemon last week, and I wanted to run it back, except this time I'm coming with a trio edition here. All right. So I'm going to give you 3 mystery players who are all on the same team, and you got to tell me who they are.
Okay.
So these are all coming from the same team. Player number 1 is a 3-level scorer, and the numbers prove it. 35% of his shots are off of catch and shoot. 34% of his shots come from pull-ups, and 31% of his shots come at the basket, less than 10 feet away. That's a hint for you, it's a boy, averages 20 points per game. Right? Yep. Player number 2, a little more straightforward, is averaging 19 points a game and shooting 48% from the field, 42% from 3, and 89.5% from the line. So he's towing 50, 40, 90. He's a couple percentage points away from being there. And player number 3 averages 19.3 points per game. And I'm whipping out a McPherson signature stat here. I'm trying to get this copyrighted. He also, alongside his 19 points a game, averages 12.7 ass bounds a night. That is assists and rebounds combined. For context, he's not at this level, but Jokic leads the league with ass bounds at about 23.1 per game. So those are the 3 players. They are a trio. They combine for a total of 58.2 points per night. You have a 3-level scorer, a 50, 40, 90 guy, almost, and a true facilitator at all levels with the rebounds and the assists. I have some hints if you need them, but those are my 3.
Okay, first question I'm gonna ask. Oh, my next thing just went out. This is gonna be my first submission of a guess. Is this IQ, Scotty Barnes, and BI?
No, it's a good guess, though.
Yeah, I was proud of
It's
that
a very
guess.
good guess.
Proud of that one.
I like that.
Is it Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges, and Con Knipple?
It is not Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges, and Con Knipple. Much closer. Much, much closer.
Much closer geographically?
Much closer in that you got 2 of the players, right?
Wait,
The other one is not Bridges, it's LaMelo.
It is LaMelo Ball. So Brandon Miller, 20 points per game, 3 levels of scoring. Con Knipple, as a rookie, is nearly 50, 40, 90. Could be a career 50, 40, 90 guy. And LaMelo Ball with his 19 points and nearly 13 ass bounds a night. Charlotte is another team I wanted to bring up. Like I wanted to mention Keontae George and the Utah Jazz the other week. Any guess on where they're ranked in net rating for the calendar year for 2026? You guys seen this?
I
The
haven't
Hornets?
seen it, but I know they've been balling really well. Charles Lee, Celtic guy, is really changing the culture over there for the better. You said net rating, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'd bet their net rating's like 12.
Ethan, you got a guess?
No, I don't.
As of Monday, last time I checked this, maybe this changed in the last 2 days, they are first in the league in net rating for 2026. They have the league's number 1 offense and number 6 defense. Good enough for first in net rating. And while they are below 500, they have a plus 24 scoring differential on the year. These guys might be the best league pass team in the league right now. Long term, is LaMelo a winning player? That's always going to be a debate, but undoubtedly he's exciting. I can tell you for sure Con Knipple and Brandon Miller are winning players. That scoring archetype that Brandon Miller gives you is one of the most valuable types of players you can have. And Knipple, as a good defender and a 50, 40, 90 guy, Charlotte is next in line in that series of Houston, San Antonio, OKC, of those teams that, before you know it, are going to be very, very good and very, very tough to compete against. Ethan, you mentioned him earlier. They have Miles Bridges. They got a decent young big man rotation with Diabate and Kalkbrenner. Charlotte's a fun team. This is probably the last year we're not going to see them in the playoffs, especially in the Eastern Conference. And honestly, while I always love for the Knicks to have an easy path ahead of them in the playoffs, I think it's good for basketball in general that we're getting some young, exciting basketball, not just in the Western Conference, but in the East as well.
I agree with that. Yeah, honestly, it's ever since I can remember, it's been like overwhelming in the West, especially ever since LeBron went there back after the 2018 season. So yeah, it's nice to with the parity. It's nice to have a better array as opposed to it just being out West. I would agree with that.
Yeah. And just to note, Ethan is now 2-0-0 on the leaderboard for Who's That Pokemon. So Ben and Brandon, you have some catching up to do, my guys. Because if Ethan exits the NBA season leading in Who's That Pokemon, him and I are going to come up with a punishment for you two to do on the podcast. All right. So maybe maybe you'll be sleeping on the floor all night.
With no
like some other
pillow and
podcasts
blanket.
do.
No
Wait,
pillow and
No
blanket.
pillow and blanket.
All he has to do is get one because we all know I'm not getting one.
True.
We'll give it. Maybe we'll do it till the end of February because I think you guys could have to eat X amount of food on the podcast or something. We could do something fun with it.
Okay, so
Get a little challenge.
I have a proposal. We should all, as a pod this summer, we should all do the Doug challenge.
What's that?
Maybe explain the
Yeah,
Doug challenge for
I
our
don't know what that
viewers.
is.
100%. Okay. So and you can do it different ways, but you need four guys. I see four gentlemen right here ready to roll. Okay. You have 6 hours. You need to go to 10 fast food restaurants. There are some parameters around the fast food restaurants you can go to. Like you can only go to, I believe it's one place that would be considered like a dessert place, like a Dairy Queen, and only one place that would be considered a primary drink place. So a Dunkin', a Starbucks, you get a Seven Brew, you get the point. You have to go to a KFC and you pull up and you just simply say, I will
You
have,
have to go to a KFC.
yes, that is part of the rules. You have to go to KFC. And you pull up and you say, I will have whatever the car in front of me had. And it's four guys. You have 6 hours. You cannot lose your lunch. You cannot throw up. And you just go from there. And the great thing about that challenge is it's not like, like Matt and I, we didn't end up doing it, but Matt and I were going to do the 100 Chick-fil-A nuggets challenge. And like that's straightforward. Like that is what it is. Like either you can do it or you can't. There's so much variability possible in this challenge, not only from the gentleman you select to be on your team, which I'd love to roll with you guys, but also like what food you get. Like if you go to not Chick-fil-A, excuse me, if you go to KFC and you end up behind a guy that's just grabbing lunch, maybe a chicken sandwich and like a small mac and cheese, that's light work. But like, what if you end up like behind somebody ordering for their family and you get a bucket with like 3 or 4 sides? Like it can
Then
really go.
Brandon's taking care of that one for us. He looks very excited about this. He's
Yeah.
covering his mouth because he's starting to drool a little bit at the concept,
Nope.
which is very, very sweet of you, Brandon,
No, I'm
to be
just
so excited to help us out.
I'm just thinking like that one bucket from KFC, if that happens, like that could be ending our challenge before it even starts.
Well, no, but here's the
That's
deal.
soft. What a soft,
Yeah,
soft
A, that is
response
soft.
right there.
B, I have an opinion about how it should go, and I've expressed this to Ben already. See, I think this is the mistake people make with it. Okay, so let's say we go to McDonald's and just keep the math really simple. Let's say there's 4 cheeseburgers. Okay, I think what a lot of people do is they go, okay, I get one, Ethan gets one, Brandon gets one, Ben gets one, and we each kill the cheeseburger and we move on with our lives easy. I think that's the wrong approach because then that cheeseburger sits in all of our stomachs while we're driving to the next place. We wait, our stomach starts signaling to our brain, I'm getting full. We're getting like stop eating basically. I think you have an opener, a second guy, a reliever, and then a closer. Okay. You go 4 strong. So let's say Brandon's our opener. Everything we get at the first restaurant goes to Brandon. And if he kills it all, great. He still goes at the next restaurant. And we go until Brandon goes, guys, I'm done. I need help. And the idea is then maybe we go to Ethan and then me, and then maybe Ben's our closer. And if we haven't finished by the time that Ben waves the white flag, hopefully it's been at least 3 or 4 hours and Brandon goes, okay, I'm not fresh, but I can hold my own. I can get something now. And you recycle through. That's my thought on
Yeah,
how
you can do a little
I like the
little
strategy.
Yamamoto in the World Series.
Yeah,
It's a good approach. I
exactly.
do associate myself with more of a Tim Hill type in this scenario, but I guess we can hash out the details when we get there. I don't know. Anything else on basketball? Ethan, did you see the Celtics try to make a move? Did you see
No,
this?
enlighten me.
They offered Anthony Simons and a first round pick to the LA Clippers for Ivica Zubats, and the Clippers said no. Which I'm honestly glad that they said no, because Zubats in Boston would be scary. But it's clear that they are anticipating Tatum to return soon, looking to go all in again this year. They're treating it as a year where they can win the finals. And if Boston is able to get some additions to their front court using a little draft capital and Anthony Simons money, that's a scary team. I'll admit it. So we'll see. Fortunately, NBA trade deadline is 8 days away, so we will have plenty of basketball schlop to discuss and overshadow that big game coming up in a couple weeks. That I guess we can talk about that whole sport now. No.
Yeah, yeah. We'll shift to that. We'll keep it real brief on that, just because we're gonna be a shorter show today, a little bit time restrictions, no big deal. Ethan, I'm just gonna give it to you. So the Patriots defeat the Broncos 10-7 in a
He's
kind of
gonna
a
give it to
wild,
you, Ethan.
yeah, kind of a wild AFC Championship game, one where the weather undeniably became an insane factor in the game. Both the Patriots and Broncos had great defenses, so offenses were struggling to get going even in the first half when the weather was passable, let alone when it was a full-on blizzard in the fourth quarter. Nobody could move the ball, and it ended up working to the Patriots' advantage. So, Ethan, if you want to talk a little bit about your experience watching the game, give you about 2 minutes on it, and then we can just go to talking about the NFC Championship, which let's call what it is. That's a way better game.
Yeah, definitely an intense game if you're a fan of one of those teams. Obviously, it was a one possession game the entire game. I understand it might be a little bit boring if you don't like that style of defensive football, but New England Patriots defense has balled out the last 3 weeks. They've only given up 26 points over that span. People can point to is Jarrett Stidham, CJ Stroud isn't that good, and Justin Herbert hasn't shown up in the playoffs. But against 3 teams who made the playoffs, one of those teams was on the road. First team in NFL history, by the way, to go 9-0 in a season on the road. I don't know. The Patriots just have a lot going for them right now, and Mike Vrabel is the hire. Drake May didn't have a big day at all passing the ball wise, but he made plays with his legs when it counted. He scored a touchdown, had a big 28-yard run, the run for the first down at the end of the game to seal the deal. So clutch plays made on his end, despite not playing at that like MVP type of level that we haven't really seen since the regular season. But he's played 3 really good defenses so far. I just feel like the Patriots defense needs to get a little bit more credit because they've outdueled all these defenses in the last
No,
decade.
yeah, they did make snow fall from the sky and made it impossible to score.
That goes
There's
both ways.
some dark, yeah, I know they put up 10 points, very impressive. There's definitely some dark magic going on there, I gotta say. At the minute New England took the lead, but the snow started coming in. Not a big football guy, and maybe this is a hot take in the football world, maybe it's not. Dude, do snow games suck? Kind of. That made for some awful football. It looks cool, I guess, but it feels like the game ended when the snow started, and neither team had a chance to score after that. It was 10-7 when the snow started. It finished at 10-7. I mean, credit to the Patriots, credit to Mike Vrabel for not making some subpar calls in that game, which I feel like Sean Payton did. Hindsight is 2020, but when you have a backup quarterback and you have a chance to go up 2 scores in the first quarter and you run some strange 4th-and-1 play where you have your backup quarterback again rolling out, having to make a play. In the moment, I was like, that doesn't make sense to me. Maybe it made sense to you guys as people who watch football, but
You're
Patriots
spot
got
on.
there. So good for them.
And to kind of go off of the point Ben just made, going for it on 4th down instead of taking the points, taking the field goal there early in that game, you have to wonder what is the coaching staff thinking at that point in time, because you have Jarrett Stidham in, and points are going to be hard to come by, so you take the points where you can get them. I understand you're in the red zone, you don't know if you're going to get another opportunity, but you have to take points where you can get them. That is a massive missed opportunity. Also, just knowing there's no way that nobody knew that that storm was gonna come in. I understand maybe not knowing the exact time and place. There's no way the coaching staff on both sidelines were not aware that the weather could get hairy. And in that point, you would have to think, let's just rack up as many points as quickly as possible, and then try and let the defense hold on when the bad weather hits. The fact
Yeah,
that nobody was able to kind of take that into account is baffling to me.
yeah, it's funny. In 1988, actually, the Bears played the Eagles in a divisional game, and if you've never seen pictures of it, look it up. It's called the Fog Bowl. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's insane. Mike Ditka, the Bears ended up going on to win that game, and Mike Ditka was asked about after the game, like, "Oh, do you feel like gypped?" And just for, I guess, a little more context, it was bright and sunny in the first quarter, and then as the second quarter came to an end, the fog ended up rolling in. And so Ditka was asked about it in the post-game presser, like, "Oh, do you feel bad, like, that the game was decided like this?" And his response was, "No, we scored when it was sunny. They should have done the same." So, you can argue that the exact same thing is true for the Patriots. I think the bigger concern for the Patriots, and I was hashing this out with some of my students today, and it's hilarious listening to eighth graders try to argue a point that they're just unfamiliar with. But I think Drake May has looked kind of underwhelming the past few weeks, and their argument was that Drake May looked fine, was he looked better than Jarrett Stidham and CJ Stroud. To which, you know what? Yeah, he did. Hats off to you. If that's the standard, if Stidham and Stroud
Fastest
are the standard, then yes, Drake May has looked fine. I think he's
fastest
looked,
kid at Turtle Camp.
yeah, exactly. Fastest kid at Turtle Camp. So I don't know. I think he's looked underwhelming ever since the regular season. He's going to finish second in the MVP probably. Very well could win it. I'd be fine if he did, but I don't know. Facing such a legitimate defense, the number one defense in the league in Seattle, and Darnold. Again, no Super Bowl preview talk, but it'll be interesting. We'll talk about it next week. Let's transition to the NFC Championship game. Absolutely phenomenal game. I'll stand by my take last week if I'd rather have Puka than JSN, but JSN outplayed him this week, balled out. It was unbelievable. He truly is special. JSN, I feel like, is in line where obviously it would depend on the game, but like JSN could be in line for like a Cooper Cup style game. I say that's ironic to say because Cooper Cup's on the team, but he could be in line for that in Super Bowl 60 and ultimately end up winning MVP if the Seahawks are able to come away with a victory. Got to feel for the Rams, got to feel for Matthew Stafford, got to feel for a guy like Devontae Adams, who's just been knocking out the door over and over. He's now 0-5 in NFC Championship games. It was a pretty heartbreaking interview where he was crying, and it's like it's the real emotions of the game. He works his butt off. He's been knocking on the door, and just kind of is what it is. Brandon, any take on that game?
Yeah, just kind of what you were saying about the Rams and Matt Stafford is just obviously Stafford has kind of cemented his legacy. I think at this point, obviously the MVP voting, we don't know who's won at this point in time. You have to think. I mean, Stafford's definitely in the conversation for it, but you have to wonder too, like, is his legacy kind of cemented where it is? Because he's going to be. I think he's what 39 right now, so 40 next year. You just have to wonder how many cracks at the can is he going to have before he can't really realistically get another Super Bowl. And how long are the Rams going to let him keep going? Because they do, as an organization, start after thinking about, okay, what is our contingency plan when he retires? So you just have to wonder, like, how much longer does he realistically have, not just on his own body, but in terms of the view of the organization. So I do think they'll do right by him and keep him around as long as possible, but it is certainly something they have in the back of their mind. So you just got to feel for that organization. But with that said, that was by far the best game of the weekend. Obviously, I don't think anyone's going to question that. A hell of a game, a shootout, back and forth the entire game, and it never really felt like anybody was out of it until the final whistle blew. But hats off to the Seahawks. They played their asses off and definitely deserved to win that game. And I think Sam Darnold is making a lot of Minnesota Vikings fans, or especially the Minnesota front office, kick themselves seeing what he's been doing, going toe to toe with some of the best quarterbacks in the NFC this year. So, Jets fans, close your eyes. That's all I got to say. But
Well,
yeah,
I
that's all.
actually
That's all I got on that.
I think Matt actually sent in our group chat, but the best tweet I've seen on that is if Sam Darnold prevents the Patriots from winning a Super Bowl, he might have been worth the number 3 overall pick for the Jets, which I think is hilarious. Ethan, any thoughts on this game? I assume you watched it with a lot of glee and probably like looking into it, knowing you were facing the winner of that game.
Absolutely. Yeah, exciting game. Uh, Both teams balled out on offense. I gotta say, JSN, spectacular. That was probably Sam Darnold's best game of his career. Had over 300 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, no turnovers. So very impressive on his side to put together a big time performance in a big game. Yeah, and I'm just looking forward to previewing the Super Bowl and getting to the big game.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Okay, last thing before we get to
Oh,
oh Ben, you have
whoa,
thoughts?
whoa. Yeah, I watched this one. This was like it felt like a real like JV varsity scenario where this was like the actual football game for the day. Uh, Seattle is scary. I don't think I watched them play a single game this year. They're a powerhouse. They came out on that first drive and it was just like boom, boom, big shot downfield. Kenneth Walker. When did he get good at football? I don't know. He's not very good at fantasy, but he is just running through guys, finding holes. You have to be. I guess you don't have to be, but I feel very happy for Sam Darnold. Like, I feel like that's a really cool story. You have guys, teams giving up on him, and to see him have success, it feels like he's a guy who's appreciating that. So it was cool to see. I know we're not supposed to preview, but that Seattle home field advantage seems so intense. That place is very loud. We'll see how they do without it coming up. But I had a good time watching that. Maybe this football thing is worth tuning into a little bit more next season. We'll see.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Okay, Brandon.
Before we move on, because I assume we're going to move on from NFL next.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do want to. Well, I was texting the group chat the other day. I want to talk about Joe Brady. I wasn't kidding. I actually do want to talk about the Bills promoting him
His
for a
name
quick
is
second.
Tom. His name is
Yeah,
Tom.
I'll say I had a little fun in the group chat with that this weekend, but or this past week. But correct me if I'm wrong on this, or if any of you disagree. But the Bills
Yeah.
promoting Joe Brady to be the new head coach feels very much like a 2010, doldrums of the Bills years kind of move. And I say that because you fired Sean McDermott. And I don't agree with that. And I think I made my opinion on that very clear when that did happen. But let's take that out of the equation for a moment and just focus on the fact that McDermott is gone. You now have to hire a new head coach. Promoting Joe Brady does not feel like a solution to the problem because by firing Sean McDermott, you basically said to everyone in the organization, your fan base, that the status quo, which was get to the playoffs, maybe win around and then lose it by the championship game, you told everyone that that status quo was not good enough. And I can understand that given the talent they have at quarterback. But now your solution to the problem was to promote from within and make your offensive coordinator the next head coach. And to me, that feels like we just ran around circles, fired Sean McDermott for nothing because it's going to be more of the same this upcoming season. And I'm not saying that Joe Brady cannot be successful and not lead them to a Super Bowl as a head coach. We don't know that because he is a first-time head coach. But again, I just feel like they got nowhere and did not address the problem they were ultimately trying to fix. This feels like the Bills when they were one of the most dysfunctional organizations in the NFL, just making that kind of move and not showing us they are capable of being a capable and winning type of franchise going forward. Correct me if I'm wrong, and if you disagree with any of that.
I don't hate the take, he certainly wouldn't have been my first selection for a head coach. I think that should have gone to Dable, or they should have waited out Clint Kubiak. However, what I do know is that Josh Allen was heavily involved in this coaching search, and so clearly, if they ultimately ended up going with Joe Brady, that Josh Allen okayed that, he was cool with that. But I think time will tell on that. I don't hate the take, but yeah, I think we're good on that.
And yeah, Josh Allen, famously a great decision maker. So,
Exactly. All right. Okay. Last thing before we get to, I have one hockey question for Brandon, and then we're gonna wrap up the show. No Pags picks this week. I don't have anything for you. It is what it is. Um,
this guy is cold. He is cold.
I am ice cold. Honestly, don't tell me on anything. Brandon, I just wanted to yell at you really quickly. I need you to start accepting my rage bait in the group chats. You used to accept it like with glee, and now you just ignore my rage bait, and it's really upsetting me. Like, I sent a great one this weekend. So me, Ethan, we talked about guys in our dynasty league. So it's me, Ethan, Brandon, Matt, Jason, and Brian Katz. And I sent something. It's a weird bunch of fans in there. I'm a Giant fan. Brandon's a Commander fan. Ethan's a Patriot fan. Matt and Jason are both actually Seahawk fans. And Katz, for whatever reason, is a Colt fan. And I sent something in the group chat talking on Sunday morning, talking about how, like, oh yeah, it's just great. All of our football teams have something to look forward to. Ethan, Jason and Matt, your teams are playing to go to the Super Bowl today. I'm like, the Giants found their franchise quarterback in Dart, and they just hired the best coach on the market in Jim Harbaugh. I'm like, Cats, end of the year was tough, but you really found something in Danny Dimes. You guys could be scary next year if he stays healthy. Brandon, I feel for you, man. Just keep chugging along. You're going to miss that quarterback like you did with Jaden Daniels. Just got to take another shot with the next one. You keep your head up, man. You'll be fine. And you didn't even respond. Have a little dignity and respond.
No, I'm good because that's the thing. We've gotten to a point where I know it's just rage bait. So, all right, kick rocks.
It took you we met when you were
kick rocks, pal.
2017, summer 2017.
So it's taken you 9 years, and now you're drawing the line right when it'd be great for content.
Yep, pretty much.
All right.
All right. What's this hockey question though that you were texting me about earlier?
Okay, it's nothing crazy. I think that it is time, and keep your response brief because I know Ben's got to head out. So we'll wrap up the show in the next 2-3 minutes. I think it's time that the NHL change their point system, and this is definitely something you've heard before. I am passionate that they change it to 3 points for a regulation win, 2 for an overtime or shootout win, 1 for an overtime or shootout loss, and 0 for a regulation loss. Thoughts?
I don't hate it. I'm fine with I'm actually mostly okay with the current system as is. I think that is most acceptable. I would honestly get rid of the loser point, for being totally honest, just because you made it to overtime. I would go, if anything, I think I might go 2 for a regulation win, 1 for an overtime win, and then just nothing for any kind of loss. I think that would be a better system. I would honestly more punish teams for not getting it done in regulation. The biggest thing I have issue-wise with points section goes down to player points is shootout goals do not count as goals. And while I do agree with that to some extent, not every shootout goal should be counted as a goal. I do think that the player who scores ultimately the deciding goal in the shootout should be credited with a goal, because you do put a game-winning goal on the scoreboard, but no player is credited with a point in that situation. So I just think, like I said, I think the game winner should get it, and that's it.
I hear you. All right. That's our hockey talk for the week. So we covered hockey, basketball, football, and baseball. Great time as always, boys. Any last second things. Again, notice a shorter show this week. Brandon.
I got one quick thing. Watch for the New Jersey Devils to be very active at the trade deadline, trades in the upcoming weeks. They just traded today Andre Palat to the New York Islanders in a salary cap dump. So
Yeah,
he is headed over there in exchange for alongside the Devils sent him alongside a third rounder this year and a 2027 sixth rounder, just dumping his $6 million a year salary for the next 2 years, this year and next, for 27-year-old, and I'm probably going to butcher his last name, but Maxim Siplikov. It's a nothing burger of a trade, really. Just like I said, just a salary dump. Again, watch for the Devils to be active in the coming weeks because Dougie Hamilton could be on the move as well.
Dougie H. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. We appreciate it. Enjoy your weekends and count down the days till the big game. All right. Thanks so much for listening. Peace.
I guess.